last season on the game. We last left the Malzar with a gun point blank to his face, with no hopes of survival in unmarked, unstable territory, and the malevolent Player 2 controlling Pat's body on the other end. A little blue-sided bacteria begins to scurry. Player 1 goes to the nearest road and copies the form of a familiar face. Now in the form of the fighter that had appeared in the woods, Player 1 begins to hurry. Making a roaring leap of faith, Player 1 smacks into his rival, freeing the Malzar. Jesse takes advantage of this moment and runs. He hops on the ET bike and hits the open road. In hopes of getting as far away as possible, he accidentally hits the runner. The runner introduces himself. What's your name?
William Steadfast.
Thank you. Thank you for being the first real thing in a while. Jesse immediately feels a connection to William. They exchange life stories. Jesse tells him everything about the game, and William goes over his fighting past. Meanwhile, the players duke it out. MMA for the win. William Steadfast shares his philosophies on life and believes that we shouldn't try to change the past. Jesse decides to ditch the undo button and deal with the cards he's been dealt. With the Malzar's newfound faith, he loses the sling and returns home to get his brother's help. Back on the dirt road, Player 1 pins PAT on the hill and starts choking him to death. Player 2 scrambles and manages to grab a rock. He bashes the copy over the head, killing him instantly, and then retrieves both guns. Back at Jesse's house, the Malzar barges into Jeffrey's room, almost catching him working on the top secret Overachiever's DVD box art. Because of Jeffrey's shiftiness, Jesse grows paranoid and points the gun at him. Jeffrey bumps his knee and goes tank mode, giving Jesse some traumatizing flashbacks. Jesse pulls the trigger, realizes he just made a huge mistake, and runs outside like a coward. He cries and punishes himself more than ever before. He throws up, stumbles, takes the gun, points at his head, and goes to kill himself. Meanwhile, PAT emerges from the woods, ready to raise all hell. Jesse reflects back on a past memory of Jeffrey and decides not to go through with it. With no more undo button, the Malzar trudges onward, hoping to make the most of this second playthrough. After all, it's what JT would have wanted.
Don't you go giving up on me, baby brother.
Player 2 makes his way into the basement, erasing the outdated scoreboard with fury, and leaves a troubling message. He goes upstairs to find Jeffrey bleeding out. Player 1 watches, goes to the woods, copies Jeffrey, and hits Jesse over the head. Player 2 and Jeffrey exchange words. JT gets a brief deja vu from the first playthrough. Player 2 kills Jeffrey, senses TOM in the woods, and runs off. Player 1 in JT form wakes Jesse up, and they talk and fight over who's a bigger coward. Player 1 explains the recurring dreams he's been having, and Jesse says, "I'm the one who ends the game." The Malzar walks away. Pat catches up to Player 1, gets thrown down the hill, and then kills Player 1's form. Player 1 copies Jordan, Pat's girlfriend, from Pat's fallen wallet. The next day, Player 1 continues to the dirt road to find the ghillie-suited hunter and his sister. He also sees Cornetzer drive by as he listens to California Girls. While Jesse approaches Nate's house, Player 1 sneaks up behind him in Tom form. Player 1 tries to explain himself to the Malzar, that he's only trying to protect him, but Jesse only exacerbates things by pissing him off. Player 1 goes to kill him, but can't, and gets his neck broken once again. Player 1 reappears as Tom, copies a gun, and witnesses the second chance machine spawning.
What are the odds that it would spawn in the exact same place that it did last time?
Meanwhile, Nate has some deja vu, and him and Jesse do this gay boob handshake. Jesse searches for the mind control device while the players close in on the house. The mind control device spawns right next to Jesse and Nate. The Malzar claims, "I'm gonna be right back. Something tells me this little gizmo can do a lot more than I thought." Pat enters the house and notices some glitches with using the reset button prototype. Nate realizes that this all happened before, so Player 2 kills him. As Jesse walks outside, Player 1 musters up the courage and kills him once and for all. Both Player 2 and Player 1 have an awkward dance party and celebrate the Malzar's death. 2M starts dragging Jesse's body toward the ship, and Player 2 is,
"I'm just glad he's dead."
Player 1 is disappointed because he thought Jesse was special. It's then revealed that the mind control device is also the cloning machine, containing both powers of the players. The body actually belonged to the Malzar's dummy clone, nicknamed Clone X. The Malzar runs off, but Player 2 isn't far behind. The next day, another glitch occurs and the Malzar loses his hair and his shirt changes. Not sure where to run or hide, he walks to Ursula's decrepit bungalow, but is apprehended by Player 2. Meanwhile, on the ship, the janitor messes with the Tsar and thinks Player 1 won the game. The Tsar tells him otherwise. The janitor reacts accordingly. Player 2 strips the Malzar of his weapons and then goes brain dead. Player 2 then leaves Pat and jumps into the Malzar. Player 1, in the form of Cornetzer, makes a car and drives toward the Malzar. He gets out and turns into the Tsar's form. Player 1 approaches the Malzar and Pat's body. The Malzar starts acting really strange. Player 1 catches on and grabs the mind control device. Player 2 tries to get the Malzar to kill himself, but the Malzar fights back. While the Malzar has an internal battle with Player 2, Player 1 mind controls them both. Player 2 tries to fight it but fails. Jesse drops and Pat gets up. Pat mistakes Player 1 for his girlfriend thanks to his deja vu experience.
You don't have a girlfriend!
Player 1 then leaves them both a note and returns to the ship. Meanwhile, on the ship, the Tsar is furious and says,
Player 2 was just eliminated from the game.
The janitor replies,
Pity.
The next day, Jesse regains consciousness and reads the note.
My friend, the game is over now. Perhaps now you can finally see the way. Purpose found? Player 1. P.S. You're welcome.
He gets Pat up, and the two skip merrily down the dirt road. A few glitches and flashbacks later, Pat freaks out and tries to shoot the ship. Jesse rips the gun out of his hands and they get into an argument. Jesse claims, Pat, there's no such thing as aliens. They're not real.
You're joking, right?
And fabricates this whole story, making it look like the game had never happened. Supposedly, they were just really wasted. Pat, in his mentally unstable state, buys into it, giving Jesse the chance to move on from the whole thing. The two return to Jesse's house and get assaulted by Jesse's mom. She accuses Jesse of not doing his chores from long ago, and they return to town at Bob's house. Meanwhile, on the ship, the janitor destroys the reset button, the thing that has caused the countless glitches and deja vus. The Tsar enters and reassures his decision to destroy it, and makes sure that the guns won't be nearly as faulty. Back on Earth, Jesse goes to Bob's house and gives the towel to his mom. The visit gets cut short by Mrs. Zipple, as she has to tend to a sick Bob. She sings his favorite song.
Hush, little baby, don't say a word.
Meanwhile, on the ship, the janitor presents the Tsar a new potential Malzar. Jesse returns home and gets hit with memories of him killing Jeffrey. About to leave, Jesse gets guilted in by his mother. Jesse says, "Are those your guns?" To his dad, who's back from the convention, and who mysteriously has his guns with him, with full ammo. Jesse gets attacked by Mommy again, and goes to clean up his mess. As Jesse walks by, he sees Jeffrey's room changed, and Jeffrey himself alive and well, with a fresh new hairstyle too. Jesse is in shock, and gets owned one last time by Mom. Jeffrey agrees to help with the chores by taking out the trash. Jesse picks up the towels. Mr. Ridgway polishes his guns and puts them away. Pat finally returns home. Jesse finds Player 2's message, erases it violently, throws in the towel, and retires to his bed. Jeffrey grabs some trash out of his closet and puts it into the dumpster. JT's dead body is revealed to be in the trash, while the sinister Jeffrey lookalike approaches the house. Meanwhile, on the ship, the janitor declares,
Thomas Lawrence Abraham is the new Malzar, effective immediately. In addition, from this day henceforth, Player 2 is officially suspended from the game for 2 entire Earth months. What? This is outrageous!
He He also summarizes what happened the night Jesse's game started, regarding Tom running away from his house and getting copied by Player 1.
Rules are rules, and in the meantime, Player 1 will be living it up on Earth, waiting for your personal assistant or assassin to get back on the field.
What if Ridgway decides to step in?
He won't. I don't think he's that stupid. Let the game begin. Light the beam.
You let it.
The janitor lights the beam himself, signaling the beginning of a new game. Meanwhile, the Tsar hits the cow in frustration. What will happen next? How will it all end? Will the Malazar finally fulfill his purpose? No! Find out in the game, the final season. Still in HD.